Welcome to Healing Hearts. I am Rakaya Gibson. I have some special guests with me today. I have two moms. We're going to talk about sudden cardiac arrest today, but before we get started with the talk, I want you guys to go ahead and share the video to your page. So everybody take a moment, share the video to your page so that everybody who can benefit from getting this information today has the opportunity to do so. We're calling today Basketball Diaries um, because we have two basketball moms who lost their children at different times, spread out by 15 years, but similar circumstances. I'm looking, I think Sonia got dropped from the call, so let's let her get back in.
And I'm having problems sharing. So
I'm seeing, it's like frozen. I don't know what it's doing. Hold on. Let me close that out and try again. Let me add Sonia back.
I'm so
We lost
sorry.
you for a minute. No, you're fine.
I was trying to share it.
yeah, me too. I'm having a problem.
Let me see. And I went all the way out. I'm so sorry.
No, you're fine. We good. Everybody know this is what reality TV. It's real time, so we're fine.
Do I just go up?
I'm trying to see where it is. Do you see it to share it?
I don't see it. That's why.
No.
Yeah, I don't see. I see a share screen, but I don't see a share where we can.
Okay, I see it right here. Hold on. I'm going to share it.
And tag. That'd be good.
It'll be right at the top of my page.
Okay.
It should be. Uh-oh. Somebody keep trying to call me on Facebook. Is it showing up at the top? Because I still don't see it.
I don't see anything.
No. I had that X'd out. Looking at the S. I'm like, share? It's right on out of here.
Okay, here it is. It's at the top of my page. Let me tag you in it.
Okay. Trying to get this camera. Bad lighting.
Did it come up, Michelle?
I don't see anything. I still just see share screen. That's all I see.
Okay, we got 3 viewers. We live.
All right.
I shared it.
We're
you
good.
don't see it? Okay, well, just try if you can. Everybody share it to your group so we can get. Okay, don't worry about it. You can share it afterwards.
Okay.
Yeah. Can't see it.
Okay. All right, so I have Michelle and Sonia.
I'm trying to get my head in. All right.
Hold on, I got some technical difficulties going on right now. There we go. All right, so, all right, here we go. So, guys, let's go ahead and get started. Welcome to Healing Hearts. Sorry about the technical difficulties, but I'm here with Sonia Marie, and I'm here with Michelle McCaney Johnson, the mothers of OJ and Gerard. So Gerard was an AAU basketball player who collapsed on the court 15 years ago. And fast forward to 2020, very similar circumstances in the middle of a tournament. OJ collapsed on a basketball court. We are raising awareness this month for Sudden Cardiac Arrest Awareness Month. And it's very touching because I also lost my son the same way. And before losing Damani, I never would have imagined that this was even possible, that this was something that could happen, that this was a real thing. Mm-hmm. Tell me about it. You saying, right, you had the same thoughts?
Yes, ma'am. This was like something beyond my wildest thoughts. Any thought in my mind. I could not believe that my son collapsed and didn't wake up. That's the problem. I done seen people pass out, but they always get up. But, unless it was something underlying. My son was healthy. he was healthy to me. You know, I don't know.
Right.
It's I would
Right.
never let him get a plate anything. We would have got in the books 100%. You know, he loved social studies and he loved science. That was his favorite things. You know, like favorite subjects. So no, I would never let him play. I thought I was trying to keep him busy, make him a little different, keep him out the streets. That's what you love, baby, love it. And he did that. I didn't expect this. Not at all.
Right. Michelle.
Pretty much the same. Gerard loved basketball. He was that teenager, he was beginning to like girls, and he loved to rap. That's when they were beginning to do all the little rapping, and him and his little friends. But he just lived basketball. He always said that was his dream of going pro, playing ball. He never wanted to do anything else. He wanted to go to college, but he just knew he was going to be a basketball player. And if not, he said, well, if I can't play, I want to be a coach at least. So he had it all mapped out. And I feel the same way. I did put him, he started playing when he was 6. And I did it to kind of build his self-esteem and his confidence because he had had some medical issues with eczema and stuff that made him look a little different, when he had his flare-ups and everything. So I did it to build his confidence, and
Right.
he grew to love the game. I mean, he loved God, he loved his family, and he loved basketball. Good kid. Just I'm like you. I never would have imagined that it could happen. I'd heard about it. I'd heard about it with other people, but it hits
Not too.
different. It
Yeah.
hits different. It hits different. No symptoms, nothing. I feel the same way as you, Sonia, that had I have known, I probably would have tried to do everything I could to keep him
To
from
keep
doing
that
it,
and
but
fix whatever.
to
Mm.
fix whatever it was. But, it happened. It was the worst experience I've ever had in my life.
Oh,
Ever. Ever.
mm.
Ever.
Right.
Mine's too.
And I
And
sympathize with you, Sonia, because when you were saying, you are kind of homebody or whatever, because everything was centered around, your baby. And it was the same with me. I mean, basketball practice Monday through Saturday, basketball tournament
no, no,
Saturday
no,
and
no.
Sunday.
I
Um,
wasn't. I wasn't at no practices like that. No, I'm the total opposite. No, no,
well, I,
no,
I was.
no. I was
And,
not the best. I'm not no team like that. No,
and I
no
had to
work.
learn how to live again after he died because
Oh
that was
my.
my life.
Right.
Coming home from work at 5 o'clock and sitting in the house when at 5 o'clock I'm rushing home, cooking dinner, going to pick him up from practice, or it it was an adjustment.
Wow.
You don't realize how much time and effort that you spend on their love,
All right.
and
Right.
And you need it.
yeah,
It's a necessity. Like
yeah,
what
yeah,
is this real? You
yeah,
know?
yeah,
Is it real? I know. Sometimes I'm like, this gotta be a dream. This can't be real. Like, this wouldn't
Mm.
happen in real life.
yeah. This is not the order of life. You don't think of it like that. And that's what I tell people, when people are like, "Oh, I understand because I lost my granny." Well, yeah, we love granny, we love pawpaws, but it is a totally different,
It's something else.
yeah,
It's a
something.
hurt.
Yeah,
It's a hurt that can't be filled, or
there you
it
go.
ain't. It'll never leave in your
There,
mind. You like, yeah, you could do things
yes, there
every
you
day.
go.
I say busy, right?
Yeah.
You busy, but you still gotta go home.
Hmm.
I like to be to myself a lot. Always been like that, but that's what's going on now. And it's like you really you it's another it's something else. You know what I'm feeling.
No words.
Yeah.
There really is no way to put it into words.
And you can't explain it to people. People will. That's probably a whole nother show. We talk
Right,
about
right.
the
And
crazy
I
and
try
the
to refrain,
insensitive and stupid things people say, but they're just saying it out of desperation or whatever. But
but
you
I know
can't
exactly what
explain
you're
it.
saying.
It's
Oh
a, it's a
my.
hurt that you can't explain. No matter, like I tell people, I can't say like you say, oh, I got a headache or my stomach, I got a stomach ache, I got an earache, I got a toothache. This is an ache that,
It's
Mm.
inside so deep, like right here.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
here. And it's
yeah,
not going anywhere.
no,
It's in here.
yeah, it's there,
It's right here. I feel it.
there, it's there.
And
And I
so
want
even
I'm
15 years
over
later, Michelle, oh, go
15
ahead,
years
Sonia. And
later, I don't want
it's
to feel that anymore.
It's there.
I don't want to feel that pain. I never cried like this. I'm the strong one, they say.
That's me.
Right?
That's me.
And
That
I
was
don't feel
me.
strong. It's a mess
And it's
everywhere.
okay. It's okay. It's okay for you to be a mess. It's okay. It's okay.
I wear a
That's what
mask. I
a
wear a
mask. I
mask.
know. I wear a mask too. And people think that because they see you smiling that means that you okay,
No, not at
but
all.
they not ready to see what when you do that, then people try to fix you, and it's like you really can't fix me. So I'd rather not even go through that conversation. So I'll just put the smile on so that you will let
I
me
wear the
be,
mask
and
and
then
I
I can
deal
go
with it.
back in my room and I can lay in my bed and
Right. I
and
understand,
cry
be.
sis.
yourself to sleep.
That's it.
And that's what I would tell people. They were like, "Oh, you're so strong." I'm like, "No, if you could get behind my door when I walk in my house and I'm in between my walls, you would think I was a mad woman." But I just it was like mm, it horrible place to be, horrible place. 15
So
years
tell me,
later,
15 years ago, were you hearing about sudden cardiac arrest back then?
I would hear of certain situations. Of course, everybody knew about land bias and all of that. There would be a few news stories of, I remember it was one news story of a young lady in DeSoto that was running track and she, at practice, she ran around the track and collapsed, and you think, oh my God, how horrible, you know.
Right.
Um, but I did not realize how common it is, and it's sad.
Wow.
It's
And
sad.
part of the problem too is like even when you say like you've heard of situations, but if they never said what happened, like we hear of situations, we hear this kid collapsed or that kid collapsed, but they never come back and tell us what happened and say, hey, it was a heart condition, and this could have been detected if a test would have been done while they were still living,
Right.
and it could have been fixed. Nothing like that ever happened. And so that's why this right here is so important to me. That's why I do these shows, even when it hurts me to talk about what we're talking about, because I feel like if I had seen a show like this when my child was still living, then
You would have
perhaps I
handled
could have
that.
done something, to keep him here.
So
Mm.
let me say this before we go any further. I appreciate so much what you're doing.
Oh,
I know
yes.
the strength. I know you
Amazing.
say that you don't feel it, but thank you. Thank you for the
Thank you.
platform. Thank you for getting it out there.
Right.
You got the strength that I didn't have. I wanted it, but I didn't have it. I could not do it.
Thank
Her
you.
son gave her that strength. Her son is what's helping her um show
For sure.
awareness to this. You know what I mean? It's another works that they have to do that we have to do here, and they have to be the one to push us to do it. And
Yep.
I believe me and you talked about that, like we all agreed about it before we came here. Of course, we don't know that we agreed about it because we was taught
Right.
different because our parents ain't know. Don't
Right.
we grow up in the environment and knowledge of what we are trained. And this is
Right.
nothing that we're trained. I wasn't
No.
trained. This is a
No.
force
Yep.
that came upon me. I already had it, but it came upon me January February, like I started wanting to feel, I start seeing things different. It was just something else. So that's how I
Yeah.
see it. I see it
Yeah.
that way.
Yeah. And don't be afraid to go on and say it, Sonia. I know you want to say it and you stopped yourself because you're like, people gonna think that I'm
Weird,
weird but we
weird,
all feel that way. Like I'm gonna put
but
a
I don't
comment on
care
the
anymore.
scene. So look, Sharon says right. I never knew of the risk, and he was such an amazing, healthy, and beautiful baby.
Yes, he
No visible
was.
sign. So you all said the
My
same thing, right?
yeah,
There were no signs.
no
No
sign.
signs. I remember eighth grade, they had to sit, like, I believe it was eighth grade, they had to sit my son out because he was complaining that he had chest pains. We went to the doctor about that. There was nothing wrong. Everything was fine. Now, something that could have been fixed, something he supposedly had at birth, and he was so active. But they said it fixed itself all this time and got tired of fixing itself. That's what they tell me. And I'm like, okay, you tell me this too late now. It's too late to tell me this because we can't fix this issue that I have right now. And I
Right.
can't even act out because I know if I act out about it, I'm not gonna get myself nowhere. It ain't gonna be fixed. So where I'm
Right.
at, where am
And
I?
that
Where am
goes
I?
to the medical community knowing more about sudden cardiac arrest, knowing
Supposed
the
to
test.
know. You
They
supposed
should.
to do your job.
Right. But if
You're
you did
supposed
your
to do
job
your
as a
job.
mother and you took your child to the doctor and the doctor said there's nothing wrong, as opposed to sending you for additional tests. Send me for extra tests. Send me for the stress test. Put me in a Holter monitor to take home
Something.
with
Do
me.
something. Do something to prevent
Did they
the
do
child from leaving here.
did they do an echocardiogram on them or just the EKG?
I believe it was just the EKG. I don't remember I don't know them names. I'm
Right.
focused on what I do. So I was, a forklift operator. That's what I was doing every day,
Right.
hours,
Right.
hours, second
Right.
shift. So yeah,
Wow.
for a
Well, I
lot.
told
Wow.
you my story. I had just took Raj to the doctor. He had just had his physical, so he could get ready for school, which was a requirement to play sport. Um, his pediatrician was one.
Hmm.
She had took care of both of my kids, and they were well. Rod promised that he would have four. Um, his blood pressure was a little high, but we actually went to the doctor right after practice that day. Um, and the only other symptom that I now that I think back, he complained that his chest was hurting, but he had ate like 10 tacos the night before. So I'm
Oh.
like, son, you got indigestion, you know. Um, other than that,
Hmm.
and his blood pressure, it wasn't high. It was just a little higher than what it normally ran. And in the pediatrician's defense, when it collapsed, um, she did come to the hospital. She was there. She called me and she was like, Michelle, I went back through this chart. I looked at everything. There was nothing. She was like, there was nothing there. And, I had to trust that because she was a very thorough, we sat down and had like, hey, conversation. And she was like, nothing. And she said, unfortunately, once the autopsy and everything was another story, had to wait 12 weeks to get a definitive cause of death. Um, she said, please have the findings sent to me. She said, because I don't want you to do that. And
Hmm.
then my mom told me the same thing. My mom being a nurse, she was like, that's not what you want to read. At this point, I'm a mess. I'm a tore up.
Right.
Yeah, just I'm 3 months. It's 3 months in from me again. My heart goes after you. I know where you are. 3 months after, and I was just tore up. And she called me after she got the autopsy, and she said, unfortunately, what was detected was something that could not have been detected unless he had had further extensive testing.
Right.
So I have a question, and it's a
Okay.
question popping up about your sons, because I was just about to ask you this. So you said that Gerard was 6 feet one or six, and he was only 15. He had just turned 15.
Yeah, he was 6 foot. He was
Oh my.
uh, at about 6 and a quarter. But yeah, he was 6 foot tall, 180 pounds. Looked thin as ever, but obviously it was pure muscle. You know, um, one of the things the doctor did ask me, and I cannot remember the name of it, but whatever the condition is, it's where they're real tall and got long arms. One of the medical examiner had asked me, was he, whatever this word was, and when I looked it up, it was meaning, they're long. It's like their arms are longer than the width of their
Mm-hmm.
body, I guess. And I'm like, no, I was
Oh
never
yeah.
told anything like
Morphine syndrome, she's saying.
it wasn't center,
Oh
it
no,
was
I
just
think it's
the
something with a
word,
W.
some
It's
trouble.
like,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And
Now
I'm
let
like,
me ask you this: did he have a big growth spurt close to when it happened? Like, how tall was he in
he
eighth
had
grade or
he
seventh
had
grade?
a growth spurt probably
That's it,
seventh
Marfan
grade.
syndrome.
That's it.
Yep,
Morphinism or
yep.
whatever. Yeah. He had a growth spurt probably from seventh grade to the eighth grade.
Mhm.
Okay.
Because by the end of his eighth grade, which he was in, he was going to the ninth grade. Summer he was going to ninth grade. He was 6 foot, getting ready to start ninth grade. So he probably had
And he
maybe
didn't get to start ninth grade.
2 weeks shy. Matter of fact, that Friday before he passed away on a Saturday, that Friday he had just went to freshman orientation in school. So he never got to
Oh my
walk.
gosh.
Yeah.
And
Walk the
Sonia,
halls
you
of
said that your baby had just taken his senior pictures a few days before he passed?
The day before.
The
Wow.
The day
day
before.
before.
The day before, he changed his last name on his social security
Wow.
from Clark to Reese.
Okay, so you have to
Um,
tell us. So you didn't want to talk about the signs and everything because she's saying like how we
yeah.
made the
Yeah, you
agreement
have signs.
and all of the things that her son put in order before he passed away is kind of like solidification that it was he was making
It
his
was
Divine.
preparations.
It's
yes,
divine
yes,
timing.
yes.
Tell us about the
Divine.
things that happened in the days leading up to.
Who me?
Yes.
Oh,
So what did you
oh
said he
Jalen.
changed his social security card?
He changed his social security card. It was Jalen Clark. But we had changed his birth certificate to Reese years ago. So the day before, we did the social security stuff. He went in there, he handled all his business by himself. I watched. I had thoughts in my mind that day to just record him. I don't know why, but record everything. We talked about a lot of stuff. We did our play. I call it our play because OJ was playful. Like he like that, nitpick and start and just rile you up a little bit. But it's all play, and everybody that knows him knows it's play. He just was fun. And we did a lot of that in places, different places around here in Statesboro, and had people laughing and saying things. He took his pictures, senior pictures, and I did my embarrassment before he left. The last moment I saw him, I embarrassed him with his pants hanging off his butt. I don't like that. I don't like to see you draw. So, and I remember I was leaving out. He was kind of embarrassed. It's like he wouldn't say nothing. He was like, "Mom, like my friends." I was like, "You need to tell them to pull their pants up." You know. I said, "Come on,
Yeah,
I love you," like that. And he turned around
yeah,
like
yeah.
that was it.
And so he had his last game that day. Did you make it to the game? Were you there when everything happened?
That morning, after I dropped him off, I did my daughter's hair. I had hook her up because we was going up there for a party. Also, my sister lives up in Atlanta, well, Lithonia, and her son, he's artistic, and he was, having his 20th birthday party, and so we was on our way up there for that. He had a game. He had told his coach, asked his coach, can he go? We can't ride together, so I did. My daughter Bria Hare. We got in the car. We on our way to Atlanta. I was gonna pick him up after the little game. I wasn't going to the game because I had other things. I'm busy. I'm very busy, and I'm mad about it. But and that's the guilt that we have, that I have. I wasn't the mother like you were, or into kids sports and stuff. I'll go to a game here and there. That was me. Sometimes I come sit in on practice in his 6th, 7th, 8th grade year. I used to like to watch the game. I love to do it. It's just the timing. My timing was, I work a lot. And so that's a guilt, but we spent a lot of time together here. That was his passion. His passion was basketball. Okay. I got to work to make sure you do that. And, single mother, I had to do it. And I did that. I made sure, he didn't lack for nothing. Whatever he wanted, he wasn't that type. He wasn't flashy. He was he was real shy, but he play, But other than that, he used that. That was his, defense mechanism, his play. He was, he understood what mama was, and I know he loved me, so the guilt is not that. The guilt is more, I wish I did, watch a lot of games. I catch it online sometimes on people's live, or whatever they was on. They'll have it on live. I look at them. Of course, he'll tell me about it. So I knew about it. It's just I had to work. I be working. I think I went to 6 games since you've been in high school. You know, so
I can relate to the guilt. Michelle, you can relate to the guilt. I think that's something that all of us and go through. It is intense. It's overwhelming. It's paralyzing. It's to a point to where you can't see yourself making it through the day. There were days that I just was like, this is it. I can't make it. And I
right,
would start thinking about what ways, you know, I could. And then, you get through that phase though. So just know that it will get to a point to where you can forgive yourself, and you have to just keep saying it to yourself. Like, look, I did the best that I could with what I
right.
knew and
I
with the
know that.
time that I had. And I forgive myself. I
Right,
forgive myself for what I didn't know. I forgive myself for what I didn't do. I
right.
forgive myself for not being perfect because we're not God.
And
We're
we know.
human beings and we're made imperfect. But I had to also tell myself that, God has the master plan. And I don't know if everybody believe in, but that belief helped me through it because it let me know that there was nothing I could have done to change what happened,
Beyond our control.
out of our
For,
control.
for me, it took a while. It took a lot of growth. And that's what I tell people now. Don't put a time limit on yourself. Don't let nobody put a time limit on you. You do what you have to do to get through it. It took a lot of growth for me to finally, as you said, to start to see the, I won't say positive, nothing positive,
Right,
but for you to see, like I said in our little side conversation earlier, um, I thank God protected because most of his games I was there. This
right,
particular game I didn't make it because I was preparing a church event. And I had guilt about that. Like you said, I was like, oh my God, if I would have been there, da, 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 da. But as time went on, and like I said, it wasn't 3 months, it wasn't even 3 years. It was years later. I understand now. And I thank God for protecting me because had I been there, I'm like you, I can't say what
right.
would
I
be.
don't know what I would have done.
Yeah, I can't say what would be right now. I mean, I really can't.
I was just stuck.
feel
This
the
is
same
stuck.
way as you that it was like, okay, I can't take this. I'm ready to go, and being a woman of
You've had
faith.
those thoughts?
Oh my God,
Oh yeah.
that's a story in itself.
Ready to go.
Being a
On.
woman of faith, believing in God, I had people saying, "Oh my God, I can't believe that you would even think like that. You gotta rely.
Be
You a
glad you
faithful."
can't believe it. Be glad you
Right.
can't
This is
imagine
just
it.
another. You're right, Raquel.
And
Because
I was like,
no.
whatever. Yes, I love the Lord. I believe in God. I know all the whatever you want to say, but at this point, I don't want to be here. I don't want to feel this. I don't want to go through this. I don't want people looking at me like, oh, for you. I was just done with it. And
Mm.
and you go through the phases. Of course, I don't know if any of you have had grief counseling. I did go through grief counseling. Can't say it really helped.
Now
It
that's a
was
whole nother thing. Did you see my post yesterday how I asked for a list of grief counselors who actually lost a child? Because
right.
I
There
think
you
that's
go.
It's a
important.
difference.
There you
Yeah,
go.
it's a
It's a
difference.
big
There you go.
difference. There's one
Grief.
woman I talked to, and she's a grief counselor, and she said that she's been a grief counselor for years, and then she lost her child, and she said she wanted to reach out to everybody that she's ever counseled on grief and apologize, especially people that lost children. She said that she felt like she did a disservice, that everything she learned in the books needed to be thrown away
Right.
because it
It's
gives
a
you no
difference.
understanding of how to
Done.
counsel somebody through this.
It's just you just talking. It's just a talking point. I did 6 weeks of grief counseling, and it was just a talking point. I didn't come out with any understanding. No, no. I mean, I was just as messed up as I was when I went in, but it just allowed me to talk about it.
Right.
You know,
Exactly.
allowed me to talk about it because
Exactly.
I don't know if you guys have experienced it, but it's uncomfortable for everybody else, and that's another
Mm-hmm.
thing that I found out. Um, People will say, if you need anything, let me know. If you want to talk, but it's an uncomfortable place for them. So I held it in. Even with the people that I know love me most, my family, and Michelle, we're here for you. But what do you do at 3 o'clock in the morning?
Right.
Do you
When
call
you
them?
wide awake,
Right.
you wide awake.
Yeah.
You can't. You're not even sleepy.
Right.
But you were up like this. I felt
Right.
sometimes I felt like a crackhead. Like I was just up and could not lay down, could
Right.
not find rest,
It's been
and
rough.
my mind was just racing.
Right. And so you're holding all that in, and then that's where the thoughts of, I'm done. I'm done with this. I don't
Did
want to
you
be.
ever have the moments where you would wake up? I remember sometimes I would wake up and I would just be so upset that I woke up, like that God didn't let me die in my
Sharon
sleep.
just said it.
Oh
Sharon just
yeah.
said it. I don't know if you saw the
First,
comment.
yes,
She said,
the
I
first
thought it
few
was so
weeks.
unfair to wake up every morning. And
Right. That's that guilt.
I remember about 3 years later, I had a surgery and I went under. And when I came, of course, when they woke me up or whatever, and they were like, "Oh, how you feeling?" And I said, "I wish I hadn't woke up." And
Right.
I mean, it was like, my mom, everybody was kind of looking at me like, "Did she just say that?" And I'm like, "Yeah, you know, I wish I hadn't woke up." I mean, that's just how.
That's how I was when COVID first hit. I was like, yes, I was like, the Lord is about to
It's
finally let me go
ready.
home.
Right. I was going
And people
everywhere.
don't
I was
understand.
going everywhere,
Yeah,
trying to
people
catch it.
people don't understand, and that is the parts that I think where you gotta you gotta hold on to whatever is,
Your faith.
yeah, whatever,
Yeah.
and if you don't believe in God, then whatever you got to hold on to, you
Let
gotta
me read
grasp
this
it and
this
hold.
comment. It says, "OMG, I just had that conversation with my friend yesterday. The counselors were so textbook sensitive, and I went to three. Neither of them had experienced the loss of a child, and to me, they could not relate. I would leave and go sit in my car and scream, punching the steering wheel,
Oh,
and wanting to run my car into a lake.
Oh
Baby,
my God, that's Shannon.
right.
I
Right.
remember looking
Mine,
at the railings of the car, the
mine
road, just
was
a mess.
Mine wasn't a late. Mine was I was like, okay, I got to do this and I got to do. right. I want to get hit by an 18 wheeler. You know,
Right.
I didn't want any chance of okay, look, oh, I wake up and I'm all mangled up. I was like,
Yeah, don't
that
wake
was my
me up.
thought.
Don't try to
Exactly.
save me.
Yeah,
No life support. I don't want to come back paralyzed. Nothing.
Look, Sonia,
Let
I
me
did
go.
that. I wrote that down for my husband. I wrote down
I'm right there
I
now.
wrote
Go.
down that I did not want to, I said DNR, I do not want to be resuscitated if something happens. Well, really, this is okay. And aside from all of the stuff about us thinking about stuff, I really just felt like it was a period that I just didn't feel like I was going to survive. So it wasn't me trying to do anything, but the pain was so deep that I just did not understand how my body could keep going. And I
Going through the
felt like,
same
I
thing.
remember a friend came to me and I said, I'm dying, I'm dying. I could just feel it, like my soul was just lifting out of my body and floating
you would have
away.
been
That's how
okay
it
with it.
felt. And so I wrote down things because I would go to sleep and I would have chest pains that were so intense that I just knew I wasn't going to wake up in the morning.
Right.
And so that's when I wrote that down for him. But
And let's
wow.
do a disclaimer for the people that are watching. We understand that that's not the way it should be. So please don't hold it against us. Please don't
Well,
hold it
I don't
against
think
you.
I don't do no disclaimers because listen, this is the thing. It's no should or shouldn't. There's no right or wrong way to grieve. So nobody can judge me for how I'm feeling until they've walked in these shoes. Now
Right.
I can guarantee that there's nobody
100.
who's walked in these shoes that's judging what we're saying.
Right.
Now we will say this disclaimer that we understand that we have to find purpose and find a way to push through. We're talking about this because we want people to know that they're not alone in having these feelings. And here it is, Michelle has made it through 15 years with this. Here it is, Sonia and I are new on this journey, but we are finding the strength every day to keep going. So never give up, never make that decision to end it. But I think that there's freedom in being able to talk about it. The more that I was able to talk about how I felt, the less the thoughts were able to control me and invade my mind. And so in society, I think that with grief, we just have to normalize talking about it. It
Right.
makes it consuming. It makes it paralyzing when I have to feel guilty for talking about how I feel, or I tell you how I feel, and you make me feel, you're like, well, don't feel guilty, or you shouldn't feel that way, or don't
Right.
say that, or Damani wouldn't want you to feel like that. Like, don't make me feel bad for how I feel and tell me
Right.
that my son can't rest because I'm feeling this way. Like, really? How is that making it easier to let go of how I'm feeling?
And they're in a
Right.
better
So
place.
Let's
They're
work
in a
through
better
this
place.
issue.
they're in a better place. No, the
No,
best
they're not.
place.
The best place is with
Well,
me.
even if they are, because if you like you say, okay, I don't want to say no, they're not, because if we
Right.
want to talk about faith and
Right.
religion, like honestly, I'm to a point to where I believe that when we leave, it
Right.
is going to be peaceful. It is going to be a blessing in paradise. But that does not take my pain away for you to say it to me. So
Because
it's
I'm
not
still human.
helpful.
Right. I'm still here. Right. So I don't know.
And
We
it's
don't
like,
know where
okay,
their
so you
child
tell me they
is.
in a better place and I say I want to be there and then you tell me don't say that. Well, you contradicting yourself because if it's such a better place, why can't I want to be there?
Right. I want to be there too. Yeah.
How long has it been
But
for the money?
19 months. 19 months. Approximately. I don't count the days and everything like some people do. I just don't find peace in that. So that's just not what I do.
Right.
Some like when I looked up, it was because somebody asked me and I had to say, oh, it has been 18 months. Like I knew at the year mark.
Yeah.
And then I don't count the months after that. Like
It
it'll
get
just hit me
blurry.
some days. It gets blurry and I don't want to
Right.
focus on that. I don't want to focus on how long he's been gone. I just try to keep moving and doing things in his honor and keeping his name alive. So that's why I do so much work and things because the more I hear his name, the more I hear people saying do it for Damani or Damani Gibson Foundation, helping people in honor of him. I feel his presence with me and I feel filled with his spirit and I feel filled with his light and love of life. And so
Right.
that's why I do what I'm doing. I'm not doing it for anything else, but to keep my baby with me and to fulfill the purpose that I feel God has given me, because I feel like
Right.
in order for me to be with him again, I have to fulfill my purpose.
And you
If
doing
I just
just
stay
that.
here and I don't do anything and I'm just, you know, all consumed, it just makes it harder to get through the days. So that's just
Right.
me.
And it make you feel
Yeah.
better. This makes you feel like you living again, right? You feel that?
Right. I feel that. I feel like, because a lot of people will say, what's my purpose? Why did God do this? Why did he leave me here? Well, he left us here because there's still something for us to do.
Still some work to be
And
done.
and when we look at people like Sabrina Fulton, Martin's mom, and we look at
Wow.
people like Lucy Macbeth, Jordan Davis's mom, we look at, all of the people in life who have accomplished great feats, great things that have left a legacy that is undeniable, is because they've gone through
Oh yeah.
tremendous pain. And even if we look at the prophets, that have walked with God and carried out his mission, none of them were devoid of pain. None of them lived and walked that walk without pain. And I
Right.
think that to become one with God and his purpose for us, it intensifies, and you get an enlightenment that you can't get without pain. Like I was talking to someone this morning who didn't lose a child, but she's paralyzed, and she was in a car accident with a drunk driver, and we were talking about it, and she has an enlightenment. I said, it's the enlightenment comes through the pain that you've experienced, the life-changing pain that you've gone through. So whether somebody's experienced child loss or whatever it is, it's not something that if I could go back, I still would want the life. I still would want to go back and have what I had, but I do understand that
But I want
I
the light.
see things differently. I see things differently, and I'm a different person. I do miss who I was and the naivety that I had. Like I do
Right.
enjoy. It's kind of like on the Matrix. Remember when he knew that the steak wasn't real and he was like,
Right.
ignorance is bliss. He still wanted to enjoy that steak. So it's kind of like that. I don't know.
I get
We
it.
know that we're enlightened, but I don't want this enlightenment. I don't want to see, because you get an empathy through this. I care about people in a way that I just want to take their pain away. Like I want to take your pain away because I don't want you to feel this, because I know what it feels like. And if I have to feel this, Lord, then just don't let nobody else feel this. Don't let
Yes.
nobody else feel this.
Right. Yeah, you enlightened, mom. Yes, ma'am.
So tell me about they game. Like tell me about them on the basketball court so people can get a picture. Because they probably like, well, they were, feeling something, or they weren't true athletes. Like they weren't really healthy athletes. Were they? Like
Who
fully
wasn't healthy?
athletic? Tell me about it. Because
Who
who had
wasn't
OJ on that
healthy?
basketball court? Tell us
Girl,
about it.
OJ was bad. You hear me? He was growing. Like he from sixth grade, he didn't know nothing about basketball. But I let him get into basketball, and he just started to get better and better. His coaches will agree. He got better and better. You know what I mean? Like eighth, I'm gonna say seventh, eighth grade year, they school was always undefeated. Sixth through eighth, undefeated. Then he went to ninth grade. Most times they was undefeated. OJ was great. He played. He learned how to dunk. He did all type of things, and we all like everybody just cheered him on. He was just he did what he wanted to do. Whatever I asked him in sixth grade, what is it that you want to do? He said, play ball. He did
Mm,
he did just what he wanted to do. So I'm happy that he was able to do what something he loved here. And in his last moment, he was still
mm.
doing what he loved. And no,
Wow.
it was beyond my control to be there. I was on my way to be there, but it was beyond my control. I couldn't control it. Even the traffic was horrible. I was in Augusta. We was going on 20. Even the traffic was bad. There was nothing I could do. And I'm always trying to control. So if anybody have back onto the what you asked, if anybody have anything to say, yes, the high school, middle school, whatever basketball games, they are very intense. They are very fun. These parents are, you rooting your child. This is your baby. You see your baby make some shots. That's a feeling like, look at this mine. It's no, that is way better than NBA right now, in my mind, because no, it's not the money, but it's a joy. It's a
Right.
difference. It's a difference. And every
It's
time I
seeing
had a
your
chance
baby
to
doing
get
that.
there, I was happy. Happy to be
Right.
there. Get everybody. Come on,
Now,
come on. Let's go.
when it happened and you heard, so did someone call you? Tell me about that to
Yeah,
tell you that he had collapsed.
Yeah, me and my daughter was on our way to Atlanta, riding through Augusta. We was riding, and I ain't have no music on. Usually we listen to music because me and my kids we like the same kind of music and stuff. They keep me current. They keep me current. I can't help it. They keep me current. I am the hip mom. I have a good time. They could talk to me. Me and my
Mm-hmm.
son was like this. Very
Yes.
close, very close. Yeah, I miss games, but we close. We have a relationship. It was different. He understood. My mama got to work because I need this, I need that. You get what I'm saying? So
Right.
I had a good boy, very good boy. But on our way, and I was finna turn into a store to get some gas. I said I'm gonna get some gas in Augusta, so I was finna turn to the store, but it was like I almost had a wreck. You know, it was almost a wreck when I turned the car. It was like because I was finna miss the turn, and I turned it, and and I had to stop, and I was like, "Oh, I'm sorry, my bad, my bad." I was telling my daughter that, because she was my passenger, and I felt like I could have did that a little better, but I turned, and I pulled up to the gas station, and that's when Miss Staten called me, yeah, and she was like, "Sonya, your boy," she was telling me something, and I couldn't quite hear. So something made I was standing up trying to, get the gas and put my card in, stuff like that. I was just not paying too much attention. I was like, hello? Yeah, yeah. Hold on, I can't hear you. So I had to go in and I put on my speaker on the car. For some reason, my phone was static. And then she said, Sonya, your son has collapsed on the cord. I say, you saying OJ? My son, OJ? We call him OJ. OJ? And she was like, yes, he collapsed on the floor. And I was like, my daughter was with me. And I was like, no, hold on. So is he okay? I'm saying, did y'all just put him to the side? I'm on my way. I'm coming straight to you. I'm in Augusta. So that's like an hour and 45 minutes to the most. And I was like, so I'm in Augusta. He was like, they're giving him CPR. The phone was like about 2 or 3 minutes in, of us conversing. So I'm like, how long they give him? Is he breathing? Because I know at a certain minutes away from breathing will give you brain damage. And I'm thinking like that. I'm like, hold on. And she was like, they working on him. And we hung up kind of. I got my sister because my sister was up there. I told her to get with, But the point, I knew immediately things had changed for me in my world. And I knew immediately that OJ was gone. I just knew it. I felt it. I even, yeah, I knew it. I knew it was him. And I knew it was something I couldn't control because I was warned. So yeah. It's hard.
So then, did you have right after when they pronounced him? Were you wondering like what could have happened to my baby? Did you think it could have been hard, or if somebody told you it was hard, did you think that was even possible?
I saw the whole thing. OJ, he didn't suffer anything. He was still
So how
playing
did you see everything? Somebody
on a
recorded
video.
it?
Somebody was recording him, recording the game, and they had the camera right on him. And I believe OJ made sure that, in my belief, because he know me, it would have been no understanding if I didn't see what happened to my child. Now, prior to that, I got little specs and stories and getting his phone and looking in his phone. He was calling people. He called a lot of people that day, that morning. I
My
do
son
believe my
did
son,
too.
I do believe he knew something. He felt something there, but he wasn't going to tell me that because the love for basketball, he wouldn't dare let me know something. He'll play that. He'll play it down like he did all this. He played it down. I mean, is anything wrong with you? Tell me. He know how I am. He played it down. He played it down the whole time. Yeah. And I know it was because he knew I would have pulled him out. It wouldn't have been no more playing. That. Let's do something else. Yeah, we can make money another way, baby. Let's do that. because that's what he wanted to do. I don't know.
Or maybe, sometimes I've talked to some people who had conditions and the conditions got fixed. And they said they never really felt it, or once they got it fixed, it felt different. But when it was wrong, they weren't able to verbalize that something was wrong because it was
Right.
normal for
Because it
them.
was a normal thing. Right. And
Yeah, it
that's
was
what
how
I'm
they
saying.
normally felt. Yeah.
I believe that's what it was because I remember during quarantine, probably right before his birthday, he was telling me he wanted to work out. He was like, "Mom, I'm getting a little fat. I need to work out." And I'm like, I said, "Well, your stomach is getting a little big. You've been eating like just doing our little thing." And he went training. He went for training. He went with his team with the AAU team. And I let him go. And he did a good job up there with them. He trained. He sent me videos of him training, and we go play. He runs. He didn't feel this, he probably did feel pressure, and they'd be like, "Oh, let me sit out. I'm tired." Whatever the case was, he probably did, or probably was tired. You get what I'm saying? But whenever I asked him to do anything, he did it. No lip. He was a good boy, and
Yeah.
dealing with this. And in my mind, I wish I would have known, so I could have tried to prevent it, but it was no signs for us to prevent these things from happening here because we're not doctors, we're just mothers, and we see things sometimes, we catch it, and sometimes we don't, and we didn't catch that. But
Right.
I'm seeing it as divine timing because I was warned. So that's what
Now,
I see.
with us, that's kind of like going back to why we're sharing these stories, because if we had the information that we have now, perhaps there was more we could do. So that's why it's important for people to continue to share this information, whether you think that somebody has symptoms or not. Like we're all saying, we didn't notice any symptoms, but share this video because somebody might hear Sonia's story or Michelle's story and say, well, you know what, that's similar to my circumstance. So let me ask for a few more tests at the doctor to make sure that my child is okay. Or even if the kid has not felt any symptoms, it's important for people to get, baseline testing done, screenings
Right.
done, so that you at least know if they're okay. Now, with AAU, both of them being in AAU, one was 15 years ago to now, your son got CPR immediately, as far as you know, Sonia?
Yes. By a cop. A
By a
cop.
cop. Did the coaches know CPR? Do you know?
I was told that the cop was the one that performed
Started it.
CPR and was able to get him to be conscious. His eyes was open towards him, and he started having like a small seizure and went back out. So I believe OJ passed then on the court.
So let's talk about the seizure because everybody says that they have a small seizure. Well, not everybody, but a lot of people describe with sudden cardiac arrest a small seizure occurring, but really it may not even be a seizure. That can be, the body is devoid of oxygen, and so then it starts
Yeah,
shaking
want
and
it. Yeah,
right, but it's not necessarily a seizure. And so sometimes people don't start CPR because they think someone is having a seizure, and that could be time that's missed. Like, every minute, that's 10% chance that your survival has gone down. So yeah, because I think with Hank Gathers, that was part of it too. Like when he passed out, they thought he was having a seizure. No one initiated the CPR. But then again, your son, he got CPR right away. So there's no guarantee that.
no, when it's time, it's time. That was divine. It wasn't nothing they could do. Nothing. That was it.
Yeah,
That was all. That's all I got. That's all we got.
right.
Right.
Michelle, what about you? Can you describe, like, you said that you go to all the games, and then this was the one game that you weren't at, and so you felt like God was protecting you from that. So how did you get the call to let you know that he had passed out?
Well, let's go back to that morning. Gerard, dad and I, we were divorced, so he spent a lot of time with his dad, playing city or whatever. His dad had brought him home that his dad had to go to work. Gerard had a game, and Gerard was like, "No, Mom, I don't think I'm gonna go there." today. It was the very last game. And, I was like, no, you're going. We're going to finish this course. This is,
Whoa. Is Dana still on the call? Dana, are you still watching? Because that just gave me chills because that's exactly how you described
Right.
Jaren's right before she said that Jaren didn't want to go to practice that day and it was odd for him. And she was like, no, you gonna
Hmm.
go or you gonna finish. So that,
Wow.
that tiredness is something that is a symptom that people miss. Like Damani seemed like in hindsight going back, he seemed tired now, but it wasn't
What you
to where
didn't
I
catch it?
recognize it in the moment. But when you go back and you're trying to figure things out, but
Oh.
yeah, go ahead, Michelle.
Hmm.
I was like, no, last game, let's get her done. Took him. He knew I wasn't going to be able to come to the game because of I was preparing for the event. He was like, yeah, mom, I'm gonna go off today. You know, watched him walk into the rec center and drove off.
Mm-mm-mm.
Went on about my business. Actually, I was at home here. We were having a church anniversary that night. The phone rang. I picked up the phone, and it was his stepmom. And she was like, something's happened to Gerard. And I was like,
Mm.
what are you talking about? So then I called his coach, Keith. Well, I don't know if we should say names. I called his coach because me and his coach were friends because his son and Gerard was best friends. So his son
Hmm.
stayed at my house. Like it was like he was my other son. And
I'm
he
so
was
sick of
like,
this hair.
yeah, Michelle, does he have a history of seizures? And I was like, no, he doesn't have seizures. And I was like, I'm on my way, you know. So I jumped in the car, me and my 5-year-old son at the time, Jaden, and we get there. The ambulance is there. People are standing all outside. I run into the rec center. They wouldn't let me, of course. Obviously they were working on him then. I'm standing out there. They bring him out. He's on the stretcher. I run over there to the stretcher. They had the little bowl thing. Um, Run over to the stretcher, and I was like, "Hey, Mama's here, Mama's here." Uh, he, what I saw, he opened his eyes. Um,
Hmm.
People now are saying that's not what it was, and my regret is I didn't get in the ambulance. There was a police officer there that said, "Hey, I'll take you to the hospital." Well, let me back up. What I found out is when he collapsed, they thought he was having a seizure. They rolled him over on his side. And he stayed on his side until the police officer got there, like 2 minutes after the 911 call came. And then the paramedics got there like 2 minutes after the police officer.
Hmm.
He was
So
still
about
breathing.
5 minutes
Yeah,
later.
yeah, he was still breathing, so they say.
Okay.
And when the paramedics rolled
But
him over,
wait, you said they said he was still breathing,
yeah,
but he was having a seizure.
he was doing the deep, yeah, he was taking the deep breaths.
So
And
agonal breathing.
yeah, and when the paramedics rolled him over onto his back to start assessing him, he stopped breathing, and they performed the start.
Oh.
And
Okay.
got him on the stretcher. And like I said, when I got there, they were doing the bull, taking him out. So I knew it was serious. But you still just, I
They
didn't.
is he
Yeah,
coming home.
I didn't ride an ambulance. The police officer did take him to the hospital. They put us in that god awful waiting room. Um, and then the doctor came out and said he didn't make it. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
He didn't make it. You know, um, and after, later on that day, that evening, coach came over, brought me his shoes. So they took his shoes off while he was on the court. And he was like, you know what? That boy was going off. And I started laughing. And he
Because he
was like,
told you that.
he said he was hitting threes, he was dunking. He was like, he said, we was beating them so bad. He
He had
said,
a good game.
halftime,
Oh.
I told him, y'all back off of them, back off of the team. Because he said that boy was going off. Even at his funeral, the opposing team coach, who, I knew him too, he was like, yeah, he was going off. He was doing everything. The boy was
They gonna remember that game.
done. He was getting it done that day. And He told me that's what he was gonna do, and I'm
He
like,
told
you
you that in the
know,
car.
I'm
Yes.
like,
Oh.
you know, I want to believe that he got up at halftime. He was getting ready to go in. He had played the first half of the whole game. They took a water break. He had sat on the bench. Coach gave him instructions. He stood up and he collapsed. So I'm hoping in my mind that hey, he woke up on heaven's court. You know what I'm saying?
He did.
Although he was not technically, as they say, gone then, uh, he never regained consciousness,
Right.
which uh, leads me to the that they said he couldn't have opened his eyes, but I know I was like, I'm here. I don't know if he opened them or if they were half open, whatever the case may be. I saw his eyes, you know, and that was the last time that I saw him open.
Wow.
Right.
Wow.
Again, no symptoms. That day he did say, I'm not gonna go to the game, but I'm just thinking, okay, he's tired. This is the last game. He's over it. I mean, this was all summer long
Hmm.
basketball, you know.
I know how
Um,
that
It was the
AAU is.
last game. You
the
said it was the
very
last
last
game.
game, the very last game.
Oh
Uh,
man.
and fortunately, they had a tournament in San Antonio for that, and I thank God it didn't happen there.
Right.
Gerard would go outside. It was summer. You know, Texas heat is no joke. It was 100 and something degrees. He was outside in the backyard every day, you know, playing ball. He had a goal in the backyard. It
Oh.
could have happened there. There was a school right down the street. He would always go down to the school and play ball. They had a basketball goal. It could have happened there,
It
you
could
know.
happen anywhere. But he
Right.
So
played his game.
yeah,
Yeah.
and
He
so
went
those,
off.
those
Oh.
Let,
are
let
the
me ask
things
you this. Let me ask you this. When you found out what happened, were you in disbelief that it was the heart?
totally just I was I was in shock, you know. Um, I can remember everything about it, but I was totally in shock.
Like my
What
baby was
happened?
healthy. How
Yeah,
could this
yeah.
happen?
Yeah, like what you
What
mean he
happened?
dead?
To the point I think the medical examiner knew my number by heart because it just I'm serious. I was calling and I was like, look,
Something ain't
well,
right.
natural
Hmm.
causes undetermined. What do you mean undetermined? Well, he did have an enlarged heart, but that's not uncommon for an athlete. You know, okay, but it wasn't an enlarged heart. We're gonna have to do further toxicology testing. What that mean? You know, I mean, I'm like,
Right.
tell me something. Tell me
Had
something.
Gerard
So
ever had a is Jared or Gerard? I'm saying it wrong.
Gerard, it's Gerard.
Gerard. Did he ever have an EKG?
No, yeah. Like I said,
And
he
so
just
what
had
would you say to parents like out there that have athletes and they don't know, they don't think anything's wrong with their child? What would you say to them?
To make sure that they do that, right?
you can demand it, but now with you know, when you go into the doctors and you have these insurance companies, you know, a lot of times they're not paying for the extensive testing unless it's warranted, you know.
But with
Uh,
the EKG now, the laws are different to where you can ask for it. They're not
they
going to
are.
offer it to you, but you can
That's
ask for
Well,
it.
and I think those are the things people need to know because I
healthy or
did
not.
have a lot of people ask me that. I had a cousin who kids were very active at that time. And again, my mom being a nurse, she called my mom. She was like, I want to pull them out. And my mom was like, don't do that to those babies. Just go get them checked. You know, have them run all the tests. But, you know, you can't let this fear, you know, take over. You know, just
Right.
get the testing done. So I think that if people know, I didn't know that. I didn't know that you could ask for it, you
Back
know.
then, you couldn't though.
Right.
That's
You
the
know,
thing. Back then, you would have had to have some symptoms, but nowadays things are different. But it's
right,
because of kids like Gerard and
right.
how many of us have lost children to this that now the laws are changing for others. So it's important for them not to just do the things that it's always been done, but change what you're doing because people have lost life to make it better for you to be able to demand
And
testing for your
they
kids.
they at that time in the rec center, but I do know after Gerard died, they did get the 88 rec. So although it
Wait,
wasn't,
say you broke up. Say that again. The AED wasn't working.
they didn't have one there at that time. But after he died, they did put him in all the records.
Hmm.
I do know that.
Okay. Okay.
I do know.
Ladies, I have to go.
Yeah, we're about to pop off real quick. So it's so thank you everybody who has joined us. If you have any further questions, drop them in the comment section. There are plenty of parents who are watching who have also lost children that may respond to lost children to sudden cardiac arrest who may respond to the questions. Also, we have a run coming up. And with that run, you can register. And if you register, go ahead and if you're going to register, put in the comments right now, Team OJ, Team Gerard, Team Damani. Just give us some support for our babies. Let us know that you intend to register for the run. And anything that is raised, if you put Team Gerard under your registration, then we will, for the Damani Gibson Foundation, purchase things like an AED, heart screenings in honor of Gerard. If you put Team OJ in the comment section, when you register, we will purchase or provide testing in honor of OJ. Thank you guys so much for watching. Subscribe to us on a YouTube channel, and we'll be back later this week with another sudden cardiac arrest story for Healing Hearts. It's Sudden Cardiac Arrest Month, and so we will be sharing stories of loss and survival all month. Thank you so much. Until next
I
time.
enjoyed y'all.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye, ladies.